Video is going to be a quick introduction to using SketchUp. When you open it up, you'll see a window something like this, where you can then select the template that you want to use. As we're in Australia, we use measurements of meters, so let's click on Architectural Design Meters and then start using SketchUp. For our purposes, we don't really need the lady that is there, so you can click on the arrow icon, then select the lady and hit the delete key on your keyboard and she'll disappear. Now we want to actually have a top view of our, we're looking kind of in at the side, so a perspective angle at the moment, but we want to look from the top as we draw our floor plan for our house or for our senior study space. So let's have a look at how we do that. First of all, we can go to standard view and say top, and that now we're looking directly down from above onto this onto our site. So let's first of all draw a rectangle representing our site, and then we'll build the building around that. So if I click on the rectangle tool, I click and drag like so, and I've just drawn a rough dimensions of what the site looks like. Now you'll see down in the bottom right hand corner here, it tells you some measurements. It says it's 4.94 by 2.69. We want that to be the size of our site, so it's going to be 32 meters wide and 13 meters deep. And so if we hit that and then enter, and you can see it's now gone off the screen, so I'm just going to move it around a bit using the hand tool. I'll just drag it back onto the screen, and I'll also zoom out a little bit so I can see my the full site. Let's get it a bit bigger so that we can have a bit more space to view, and then we're right to go. Now we have our site plan. The next thing I want to do is just show you how you add the dimensions to this site, and so we're going to do this. The first thing you might need to do, if this panel isn't already down the left hand side, you'll need to go to the View menu, Tool Palettes, and the Large Tool Set. And if you select that, then this tool palette will appear on the left hand side. So then you select the Dimension tool, and you can just click on your line that you've drawn and drag out, and it will bring out the dimensions of those lines. So I'll do that for the top and for the bottom. And you can see now that my site plan, which is 13 meters by 32 meters, is now drawn. Now, when I draw other objects, I don't want this site to ever move around, so I'm going to group it together and then lock it in place. And to do that, I just click on the arrow. I just select everything I've done so far, so click and drag over it all, select it, and we can then go to the Edit menu and say Make Group. So I've turned it into a group now, and then we can also go to the Edit menu and say Lock. And now we've locked that in place. So when I click on the Moving tool, it's not going to let me move it anymore. But I can still move everything around, but just it won't move relative to other things I place on it. So now we're ready to draw some of our other rooms and shapes that make up our site and our plan. So let's just draw another one. I'll draw a couple of simple ones to get you started, and then you can go on yourself. If you draw a rectangle, I'm going to draw a rectangle here as well. And again, I've got the measurements down here from my plans that I've drawn up. I wanted it to be a room that is 8 by 8 meters, which is quite a big room. So that's going to be my study space for the Year 12s, up in the back corner where it's nice and quiet. And I've got 8 by 8. Again, we can click on the Dimensions tool. We can click. Actually, if you click in the middle, sometimes it's a little confusing. Just Control Z to undo. I didn't want to undo all of that, but anyway, let's redraw it. So it's just a bit of playing around with it. Let's draw that again, and again we'll change down here 8 by 8 meters. Hit the Enter key. We click on our Dimension tool, and if you click in the middle, it seems to like doing that. But rather than click in the middle, just click somewhere else. You can click on and drag it out, and again I would do it up the top as well. Click and drag it out. So you can see that's showing the measurement of 8 by 8 meters. We don't need dimensions on all 4 sides of a shape. Particularly it's a rectangle. You only need it really on the two sides, so that you can see that this side both have measurements, but the other 2 sides don't. Anyway, let's continue. So now I drew that rectangle. I'm going to now add another rectangle. Why don't we start here, and we'll make it come right out to the edge. I'm using all of my space for my building. In this case it's 13 meters, and I wanted it to be 13 by 10 meters, so let's just do that as a measurement, 13 by 10, and you can see now I've got a new rectangle. I'll again use the Dimension tool, and we can click and drag. It'll automatically jump out to where the other line is, so it looks nice and matches it. Again, I can do this section here, 5 meters, and I can drag it out to that side, so you can see that distance there is 5 meters as well. And we have 10 meters, 30 meters. We know all of those dimensions because we have measurements for all of those things, so that's all I need to label at the moment. Now I'm going to show you putting a curve in there as well. So if we click on this curve tool, I can select the endpoint where I want to curve. I can select the other endpoint that I want to curve, and then you can see that when I click and drag, it will bring these out. So I'm going to add my curve, and I'm not going to let it come out past the front, but we'll just do a curve so that it is like that. And that looks pretty. So I'm happy with that curve for my design. Now, I'll do a couple more things and then I'll leave you to it, but the next one is to draw a rectangle over this side, so I'm going to draw one more room that goes the full width here, and again I can do the measurements, 14 by, I want it to be 8 again, and the reason I'm trying to keep consistent measurements is that it's easy to build something, a structure that has a wall that's constant through it and things like that, so it's a little bit easier for us. It's going to be cheaper to actually build. But let's have a look now at dimension tools again. We know that's 8, but let's do it from the top here, 14. So we see the size of that one. This is going to be a foyer area, which is downstairs, an undercover area, and I'm hoping that this building is going to have 2 stories up this end and only 1 story at this end, so there'll be a sloped roof going down from this direction when it is finished. At a later stage we can put in doors, perhaps here and here, or even out here towards the front, but I thought this would be good to have an undercover area where it's an entrance into the building. So the last thing I wanted to show you is selecting it so that you can choose the fill color. So if we click the fill bucket here, architectural plans generally are white, so if I'm just going to select the middle of that, which is fine, my fill color is now white. I think we'll just make these all white, so it looks a little bit more, or you can tell where the building is and where space that's not the building is as well. So this grey area is either the foyer area downstairs. I could put in a garden or a pond or something like that if you have those sorts of things in your design, and this will be an outdoor sort of grass area with a curved wall just to change the aesthetic appeal of it. Anyway, I hope that helps you get started, and good luck with your plans.